2, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, rock.
Hello, my name is Bill Haley, and this is for Haley 2024 The Movement's Government Reform Ideas. Now, this video is going to be on the Commander-in-Chief sector. So let's go through the full Constitution real rapidly. I am proposing a new Constitution for the United States of America. It'll be the same Constitution for the states and for the localities. So it's a radical change, but it's a modest proposal because we have a lot less governance, monopolized governance in our lives. So let's go through the proposal. I'm proposing that we separate all government power into 30 sectors, so no one person is in charge of more than one sector at a time. Top elected leaders, you have to pick one sector at a time. So if you're in the military, overseeing the military through the legislative or executive branch, you're not controlling environment. If you're in insurance, you're not in charge of food. If you're in law enforcement, you're not in charge of family law. We separate these things so the voters have a chance to pick per sector, and you're going to have a lot more experience in that one sector if every elected leader has experience in that sector and knows your sector. So we have a separation there. We'll go over all 30 sectors in a second, but within each sector we have 12 distinct competitive regulatory agencies. So I have 12 to choose from. My neighbor has 12 to choose from. Everybody within my locality has 12 to choose from for my local. Everybody within my state has 12 to choose from within the state. Everybody within the federal government has 12 to choose from within the federal government. So you pick the one that matches your philosophy. If you like the Heritage Foundation or the Brookings Institute, you pick the one that you want to. So the Brookings Institute probably will have one. Heritage Foundation will probably have one. Democrat Party, Republican Party, Libertarian Party, Green Party, Constitution Party, all these things, all these ideas will come with philosophies, and they will come with a philosophy, and they'll be in charge of probably a CRA. So you pick with like-minded people, and then they govern you. You vote within your membership for the elected leaders of your CRA. And only when things need to have go up to the monopolized level do they go up to the monopolized level, but they still have to be governed mostly by the competitive regulatory agency. So it's a very radical change, very modest proposal because we're not having a lot of government over top of you. You pick the amount of government you want. If you want a lot of government over top of you, you pick that one. The benefits will come with the taxation. If you want a little bit of government, you get not much services from that, but you have to pay for the services in the free enterprise system or do it yourself. So you get the benefits that you pay for. The rating agency on the other side is high quality information from a wide variety of perspectives. You pick the one with the philosophy that you like the best. Okay, let's go through the Constitution real rapidly. A section on citizenship, general laws, bylaws or internal laws within your organization, federal, state, and local. Original authority says which one has the highest authority, city, state, or federal, or the CRA level, or the sector board level. Supermajority, if anything monopolized governance over top of the whole sector, then it needs a 70% vote. A parent sector board, how is that structured? CRA sector board, how is that structured? How is that made up? It's made up by the CRAs. Membership of CRAs make up everything. 90% of this whole proposal is competitive regulatory agencies. Everything else here is to support that. There's a few things that need monopolized governance, so we have a system where the CRAs bring in representatives to the monopolized sector board level, and they can make decisions on a monopolized level because it has its negative externalities they're trying to deal with. Or it's just not practical for 12 different CRAs to deal with foreign countries. Or let's say we have 12 different commander-in-chiefs, sectors trying to command the military in different ways. No, we need a monopolized executive leader, at least a one top leader. They can let the power go through the CRAs to a large degree, but you have one ultimate power up there. And that ultimate power has tremendous amount of accountability. 40% of the CIC sector, the commander-in-chief sector, or the accountability sector, authorization sector, they can take any commander-in-chief out. They can take anybody out. Take that government authority away from them because that's what their power is. The rating system is really interesting because high quality information from a wide variety of perspectives. Taxation is changing to more of CRA fees. There is a taxation for the military, and that's what we're dealing with today is commander-in-chiefs of the military. So that is a funding mechanism. how to deal with the debt. We have a lot of debt within our current government, and how do we deal with that? I have a whole system for that. Basically, we're selling off tens of trillions of dollars worth of government assets. Everything the government owns is going to be sold off to the free enterprise system or to the CRAs, competitive regulatory agencies. Pockets of freedom is something that's going to be important within this section. It's our foreign policy and immigration policy. It allows people from oppressed nations to go into pockets that we negotiated, that we own or we rent, or somehow utilizing a 400 or 500 square miles to allow people to come in there, be protected by our U.S. military, set up a rule of law within that. We're not taking care of them, we're protecting them, and they're taking care of themselves. We bring in jobs and the like for them to do. Let's keep on going. The separation of responsibilities and authorities of 30 sectors. We get rid of the welfare system. We go to a charity system. I have several videos on that. The foreign protection system, that's what we're dealing with today, specifically with the commander-in-chief sector. We're going to discuss how all 5 of those in a second, then we'll come back to it. Violent crime mitigation system is important. Free market and all these issues. We're going to have videos on that. Here's 5 more sectors, 5 more sectors, and 5 more sectors. I really want to get to the commander-in-chief here. Okay, this is what I want to spend some time on real quick. The top diplomats. I just did a video on that. It should be out soon. And that is the diplomats. The top guy, the president, if you will probably be called the Secretary of State, or we'll pick up another name, because we're going to have 30 different quote-unquote presidents. So we have to get a new name for each one of them. And the commander-in-chief will probably be called the commander-in-chief of America, the top guy, elected leader. And that's what we're going to be talking about today. So we have 2 different guys, top diplomat and top commander-in-chief, 2 different responsibilities. Military corporation, that's going to be major free enterprise. Military corporations supplying military capabilities to America, funded by the military capability system, which is a funding mechanism. They're going to get their money from taxes, but in a major way, not all the way free enterprise, but with one funding source, but going towards the military for paying for military capabilities, and every military corporation gets to compete for providing military capabilities to the military. A lot of ways to deal with self-dealing and corruption in there. I have many mechanisms in there to deal with that, so we can have real prices and free enterprise benefits. Not all the way free enterprise, but free enterprise benefits. The biggie for accountability is the Military Authorization Agency. They get to authorize with a 70% vote. If you cannot get 70% vote to get their approval, you cannot be in the military. You cannot be anywhere in the foreign protection system. You cannot be anywhere in it. It's just the way it works. And 40%, let's say you already have the authorization, 40% can knock you back out. So you have to do things right. There's so much accountability. There's going to be, these 5 will have 5 representative systems, all separate representative systems, and each one of these will have a rating system, and that's a full representative system. So within this foreign protection system, you have 10 representative systems representing the American people. Every person, selection of their CRA and selection of their RA, rating agency, will be vitally important to give representative control. And with that representative control comes a lot of power. Okay, highly important to keep on coming back to this screen. So we know that you're going to pick the CRA that you agree with most. Heritage Foundation, Republican Party, Democrat Party, Brookings Institute. There's a lot of different ideas about how to do foreign policy. Or that was last video for the diplomats. Commander-in-Chief. That's a totally different discipline. How to deal with diplomats is a totally different thing than if the diplomats fail and they cannot do it peacefully, they still have to send the military in to take care of the problem, then that's a whole different issue. We want a separate representative body over the military, over the commander-in-chiefs. So the military, building it up, that's a military corporation sector. That's a totally different discipline than commanding the military. And it's a totally different discipline than the diplomats. And it's a totally different discipline than funding the military. And a fully different discipline than military authorization, making sure nothing goes out of hand. So all 5 sectors are highly important, but for the commander-in-chief, we have to understand that you pick the one that you agree with most. There's philosophies of how to do the commander-in-chief, what that structure looks like, how do you do the command structure. So everybody has their philosophy. Everybody puts out their philosophy and asks for representation, or asks for memberships. So every person in America has to belong to a commander-in-chief CRA, and that will give representation to their commander-in-chiefs, commanders. So let's keep on going. Now, the purpose of the diplomat foreign policy sector is for America to negotiate with foreign nations. That's Sector 6. Now, this is the commander-in-chief sector. This is what we're talking about now. I know I'm 10 minutes into it, but you really need to have that foundation there to do that, to understand this. So, establishing a sector means you get 12 CRAs and the separation of authorities. That's what establishment means. The purpose of the commander-in-chief sector is to command the military. This is going to be one of the lowest budget parts of the whole sector of everything, because these are just the commanders. There's no equipment necessarily. They have office space, they have personnel, but these are just the commanders. The military provides the ships, the planes, the satellites, everything else. These people are just commanders of the military. They get to utilize it. They can only utilize it if somebody's attacking America. Then they have original authority to utilize military force to push anybody who's attacking on American soil. Or if the diplomats declare war with a 70% vote, then they can go overseas outside of American borders, and they can go over and take care of business with military force. So there's a couple steps, a lot of accountability. First, the diplomats have to declare war. Then the commanders can utilize military forces. Military forces don't have to obey a commander if they don't have correct authorization. Everybody learns when the commander has authority or not. And there's people they can go to immediately to say, hey, I don't believe this commander-in-chief has the authority to order me to do this. And there's people that could put a stop to that commander-in-chief if he doesn't have legitimate authority. So there's accountability in many different ways. But if the authorization board says yes, he has authority, diplomat says yes, he has authority, then the military people have to obey the commands of the commander-in-chief. So there's accountability, but there's also ability to make this stuff work rapidly. Nobody can say no to the commander-in-chief without having an answer within minutes, because there's be a command structure to give you that answer. The CIC sector has original authority at the sector board level, which means not at the CRA level, because these are the commander-in-chiefs. There's still going to be a lot of power flowing through the through the CRAs, but the sector board is going to have that final say because it's the commander-in-chiefs. We have to be fighting with one set of commanders. We have to be fighting with one plan. We cannot have different commanders from the CRAs trying to command things because there'd be too many conflicts. The CIC sector, Commander-in-Chief Executive Leader, must and has an unhampered authority to protect Americans' property and real estate on American soil from non-American threats. So, very important. Nobody has to give the Commander-in-Chief authority if it's on American soil. If they're attacking Americans on American soil, the Commander-in-Chief has original authority to go use military force against that and push back foreign foes. If it's American foes, let's say a riot breaks out or whatever, there is a mechanism for a request for additional help. But you're going to have 70%. You're going to have to go through a little bit of process. But if a riot situation happens, you can make that happen. But hopefully the police are going to be strong enough to make that happen. But if things start getting out of control within 24 hours, for sure, you can get the people together to bring the military in if needed. But hopefully, we're not even going to get close to that. The executive leader of any law enforcement, that's what we're talking about here right now. The executive leader of any law enforcement sector board may request, with the consent of 70% of the law enforcement sector board, legislative branch, help from the CIC sector for domestic threats. So hopefully this never happens. They'll have the National Guard type of thing will still be part of the law enforcement sector, be domestic law enforcement sector, and not have to bring in the military in. I want the same type of restrictions about military being used on on domestic grounds, but at some point it might be needed. But hopefully we never get to that point. But that's why we put a big 70% up there, and it's hard to get 70%. The CIC Commander-in-Chief leader, this is top executive leader, like the president, the top commander-in-chief, nobody above him, only has authorization for utilizing military force outside American borders properly sanctioned by Sector 6, which is the diplomats. It needs a 70% vote, so he cannot go do whatever he wants. Now, there are rules on the Sector 6, if we have military forces out on a base in Japan, Germany, wherever, outside of America, they have to give rules of engagement. So Sector 6 authorizes by having the rules of engagement. If the Commander-in-Chief doesn't like those rules of engagement, they might be able to pull all the military forces back out. And there's a checks and balances that way. All Commander-in-Chief commanders must follow the lead of the Commander-in-Chief, Sector Board, Executive Leader regarding appropriately authorized actions. So you don't have to be within the same CRA. That Commander-in-Chief is going to be elected through the system, and we have a system to elect executive leaders. It's not like we currently do with our president. It's going to go through CRA votes. Members, ultimately citizens, will be voting through their CRAs, trickling up the votes through the system, and there's a way to do it. You have to look at the sector board video to understand how we do it, but we do elect the top commander-in-chief. There's ways to do that, and it's within the Constitution here. But it's important to know that the commander-in-chief doesn't have the authority to start dropping bombs in Afghanistan if the diplomats did not authorize that with the 70% vote. And let's say it goes on too long, like what are we, about 20 years into it with Afghanistan now, and what we're doing is we're still dropping bombs over there. 40% can pull us out. 40% vote of the diplomats can pull us out. So that doesn't happen. The purpose of the military corporation sector is to produce a military capable of defending America. Okay, this is the next sector. This is free enterprise to a very large degree. Taxes coming in, so the money coming in is not free enterprise, but the money flowing down is hopefully going to be free enterprise using the rule of prices. If they do it right, I don't have confidence that they're going to do it right, but if the clauses, I'm trying to put clauses in there in a way that they're going to have to use a rule of prices. And I have a few clauses that you can look at when I get to that video. Everything's on my website, by the way. You can read the whole thing. But it's going to be very important to understand how we do the military capability system and how we pay for that. The purpose of the military capability system sector is to fund the military. So they get their money from taxes. So they don't have anything to do with collecting the money. That's another sector. They're collecting it from the other CRAs, the state level sector boards for human resources and sales. They collect the sales tax, and then they flow the money down, paying for capabilities. They don't have a lot of say-so on what CRA gets what money. They have to put a good set of rules about, we want 10% of our money will go to tanks, and 12% of our money go to satellites, and 4% of our money will go towards nuclear weapons, and we want aircraft carriers to get 18% of our money. Things like that. There's a lot more than just that. That's a very brief overview of how that will go. And we'll get into that sector in a video in mid-May or so. Let's keep on going. The purpose of the MAA, Military Authorization Agency sector, is to authorize everyone with inherent governmental power within the foreign protection system. So, again, every commander-in-chief has to get authorized. If they're not authorized, they get kicked out. Now, hopefully, we're going to be able to we're going to field a full staff of the military, full staff of the Commander-in-Chief. There's a way to do that. The rating system is going to force a way to make that happen. So even though we need 70%, if we can't get that full staffing up, then that percentage might have to go down a little bit, but the rating system will come in and take care of it. There's a mechanism within the system to allow that to happen. But we want them to gather that 70%. So people have to cooperate and people don't get too far outside the norms. Okay. These two screens here are just how is it going to be involved in the full system. That Commander-in-Chief's not going to be involved with everything else too much. Let's keep on going. Here's the other 15 sectors. And again, I like to come back to this as the last thing I do. The rating system is going to give high quality information from a wide variety of perspectives. You pick the rating agency that you like for the Commander-in-Chiefs. You can look at all 12 of the rating agencies' overviews, write-ups, podcasts, YouTube videos, whatever you want to look at. They'll each have a write-up, and you can look at it, and you pick the one that you trust the most, that matches your philosophy. And they're going to give you a wide variety of perspectives from the different RAs, different rating agencies. And then you pick the CRA that you like the best, and that's commanding the military the best. Okay. So I'm going to do a lot more videos. I'm doing a video on the diplomats. This is Commander-in-Chief. The military corporations we're going to do next. The military capability system and military authorization. I'm going to do those videos soon in mid-May of 2021. So please consider a donation to Haley 2024 The Movement. And until the next video.